Hi guys. I know this may seem a little odd doing this podcast this way, but I thought it might be useful for you to have access to it, as you're doing your design as well. So when you're fabricating your bridge, you'll have access to this video that kind of steps you through building a Manila folder bridge. So what I'm going to do is we'll actually go through this. If I can find out how to do this, hold on. There we are. So I'm going to do a little slideshow. Okay. These were put together by Colonel Stephen Ressler, who's a faculty member at West Point. He's a structures guy, and they came up with this great idea to put these slides together and guiding you through building a bridge while seeing how the bridge was designed in the first place. So this is what we're going to do. I'll give you a very brief introduction to truss bridges. You'll start building the truss. And while the glue is drying, I'll talk about forces and equilibrium once again. We've already talked about it. And then you'll continue building. We'll do a structural analysis, how you do that, the method of joints once again, and then you'll finish the truss. Now we've already talked about materials testing and all that stuff, so we'll stop once you've finished the truss. We'll stop. Okay? And then later on, maybe next week, we'll be testing these trusses and breaking them. So what you need to know for this, to build a file folder bridge, nothing. To analyze it, you need some basic algebra and trig, and a basic understanding of simple physics. Okay? We're not going to use the West Point bridge design software, but many of you I know have used it. Really cool. If you want to do that for your design, use that as a guide for your design. That would be great. So, what is a truss? A truss is basically a collection of triangles all linked together to form a rigid framework. They're less used today for bridges and more in buildings, but nevertheless there are truss bridges out there. Actually there was some truss elements of a brand new bridge in Chelsea that just got constructed this last year. If you go see that. Okay, and the members, these things, right? These elements that you built are all in either tension or compression. So tension meaning pulling, compression meaning pushing. Right? Okay, I'm not as interested in what these elements are called. You will be in structures when you take your structures courses. It's important to know what the names are, but for our purposes, tubes and bars is fine with me. Okay, this is called the abutment. This is where the bridge sits, of course, and then the bridge itself. There are a bunch of different kinds of trusses. You'll be picking one of these probably for your design later on, okay, for project number 2. And these are the types of cross-sectional areas that we talked about in class this last week. Okay? These are the cross-sections, and it's not only the amount, but also the shape that matters. Okay? Now, when you're putting together the bridge, it's not just a bunch of elements, it's also where the elements join. Those are the connections, right? And we'll be using a gusset connection like this. This is what it looks like with rivets. You'll be just gluing them together, okay? And most times modern bridges use gusset plates, not pins anymore. Now, the bridge that you'll be building today in lab is a Waddell A. Waddell was I think his first name was John, a famous civil engineer, and he came up with this design. And this is an actual bridge over the Lynn Branch Creek in Trimble, Missouri. It's still there, I believe. It's a rail bridge. Okay, so you should have each group. Now, form groups. Each group should have 4 of these things, these templates, and they should be laid out on top of the white, the white foam boards, right? So each group should have 4 foam boards and 4 templates that look like this on top of each one. So just take a couple of minutes to do that. Turn this off, and when you're ready, turn it back on, and we'll continue. Okay, so now what we're going to do is use this template to construct the bridge. Okay. This bridge is 30 centimeters span, so from A to C is 30 centimeters. The loading will be placed at B right here with 5 kilograms. Okay, and we use now the elements that were designed. We're going to actually go through the process of how they were designed, but they've been designed. Now you're just going to construct it. But the 10 by 10 tubes were used for these elements, and the 4 millimeter bars, 2 millimeter bars were used for these other elements. Okay. And as I said, we'll talk about how it was designed later. All you're doing is constructing it at this point. Okay? And this is what it looks like. This is what it will look like when you're all done. Okay? Tubes and bars. And these are a couple of short tubes in the middle here and on these ends. Okay, so you have all of these things in front of you. Each group should take a couple of minutes to get your file folders and your, all this stuff. You've already fabricated the structural members, right? You've already fabricated the structural members, so you probably won't be needing most of this stuff, but some of it you'll need, right? So have it available. So we're not going to go do any of this. You've already done this, right? You've already done the bars. So what I want you to do now is remember, each team has 4 of these laid out, right? And they're laid out on top of those white foam boards. Okay. Now, just take the 2 millimeter bars that are really long, right? You should have 4 of them. Okay. Just if they're really long, trim them off. If they're a little long sticking out, it's okay. But if they're really long, you might want to trim them a little bit. Don't trim them too much, though. Once you've trimmed them, if they're really long like this, you don't want it quite that long. Trim it off right about there, right at where it meets the 2 millimeter bar. Okay, so it should look like that. Notice up here, it's inside where the tubes will come, and above the 2 millimeter bar. So now you have a couple of end posts. Each team should have 4 end posts, right? So you'll have 2 of your setups. Each team has 4 setups. Only 2 of those setups need to worry about these end posts. So just trim the end posts like this. Okay. And the other one as well. Right, just trim them. We're not gluing anything yet. Now you're ready to glue. You've trimmed stuff. Now take your template like this on the board. Place some plastic wrap over it. And just watch the video, and then you can always come back if you need to. Right? So place that over it, and then pin down these gusset plates. Right? See these triangular gussets? Use the pins and pin them into these, where these little crosses are. Basically, these crosses are just placed so that you're not putting the pins to get in the way. You don't want them to get in the way of the other members, right? So you're going to pin these down like this. So you should have, each team should have 4 of these setups, right? So each of the setups should have these gusset plates pinned down like this. Okay? Now the first thing you're going to do, now here we come with the glue. Right, so the Elmer's glue, just place a bead along the bottom like this, not too much, but enough, right? Enough so that it'll hold. And then take this 2mm bar and glue it. And then you can pin it down, or if you want to just sit there and hold it, that's okay too. Okay. And do the same thing. Uh-oh. Wait a minute now. Oh, I missed that. So you should do that with this vertical piece as well, the 4mm bar. I don't know, I'm missing a slide, but you want to glue that down as well. Okay, so you'll have a T-shaped. Each team should have 4 T-shaped boards like this, right? Okay, these are the lower half. Now, what you're going to do now is 2 of the setups you're going to glue these tubes onto, right, like that. Not too much, but enough. And then you have this little short tube, remember, right? That's part of the deal. You're going to glue that down as well. So now each team should have 2 of these that look like this, and then 2 of the T-shaped ones without the tubes on them, right? We're going to join them later, but what you want to do now is let's come back, or go ahead and do this stuff, and then when you're done, come back to this, this video.